All right, welcome everyone. We will go ahead and get started. My name is Jessica and I'm a volunteer at UNASD, and alongside Garish, we will be moderating today's event. Thank you for coming, and please remember to mute your mic if you are not speaking. And please know that the event will be recorded and posted on our YouTube channel. And now I will start with some initial remarks. So as I said, I'm Jessica from the United Nations Association San Diego chapter, a volunteer-driven, dedicated to promote civil engagement with the United Nations locally, with a particular focus on the implementation of sustainable development goals through policy, programming, and grassroots supported actions. In honor of Pride Week in San Diego, we are very proud to host an event focused on fostering effective allyship in support of the LGBTQIA+ community. Even though we have come a long way in the advancement of human rights for all, there is still a pressing need to promote visibility and learn about the diversity in humanity and acknowledge the advocates that are there at the forefront of the fight for just, equal, and a welcoming society. A very special thank you to the San Diego LGBTQ Latinx Coalition and Free Mom Hugs SoCal for participating on our panel today, showcasing their efforts fostering allyship in our communities. And of course, a huge shout out to our team of volunteers that make these events possible. So without further ado, let's connect rainbows together. Garish, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Let's get started with the next section of the program, which will showcase a segment of the film called The Death and Life of Marsha P. Johnson, as available on the Netflix official site, and it'll help kickstart our discussion today.
I met Marsha. Must have been like 12 years old. She was like a mother to me. Marsha was an icon of the gay movement. Marsha was known through the world. Marsha and I, we were the liberators. The street people and the drag queens were the vanguard of the movement. We're the ones that stood the forefront and fought the cops off, and we're the ones that didn't mind getting our heads bashed in. When I first came to the Stonewall, I was the only drag queen there just about. I said, honey, what do you think, I'm a boy or a girl? I didn't ask, let's go in. Because it was an all men's bar. Stonewall was a very nice, campy little bar owned by the mafia, you know. Gay people were not allowed in bars. The mafia would pay off the cops. Typical of that era. It was hard being a drag queen back then because they would take us into jail for no reason at all. We lived in an era that was unreal. Spaced out on black beauties and scotch. We were dancing, my lover and I. And next thing we know, that the lights came on and, hey, we're being raided. Queens started being filed out and being, put into police cars, and guns had been drawn. Molotov cocktails were flying. And I'm like, oh my God, the revolution is here, thank God. You've been treating us like shit all these years? Now it's our turn. When I got downtown, the place was already on buying. They'll be beer and they were over in the park having a cocktail. And we were in the street turning over cars and, oh my God, blocking traffic and screaming and hollering and everything. I mean, there was a lot of bloodshed that night. And the movement started the next day. Everybody!
The world is having to notice what it used to try to ignore. Homosexuals no longer meekly melt away under the blast of scorn, ridicule, or hatred. Today's gay power people are struggling for full economic and legal recognition and acceptance.
Darling, I want my gay rights now. I think it's about time the gay brothers and sisters got their rights, and especially the women.
Marsha was very good-natured. She was funny. She laughed. But that shouldn't be mistaken for a lack of serious purpose and political intent.
Her mission in life is going about spreading peace and goodwill, giving license to, you don't have to be dressed up in a suit. You can express yourself. She became, to me, like a bodhisattva, a holy person who would wander the village in whatever adornment she wanted, being at peace.
How will this affect your job? Darling, I don't have a job. I'm on welfare. I have no intentions of getting a job as long as this country discriminates against homosexuals. Did you hear what I said?
So this film, Death and Life of Marsha P. Johnson, was selected because it not only shows how and why LGBTQIA rights movement began, but also issues that the LGBTQIA community still face today, like many unsolved murders of trans people. This film is really well done, and I highly recommend watching it. It can be accessed via Netflix, as you saw. And then I'm going to hand it back to Garish to introduce our panelists.
Thank you, Jessica. Let me introduce our set of panelists today. So first up, we have Adi Huerta. Ella is the supervising librarian of Youth and Family Services at San Diego Public Library. She is passionate about providing equitable services to communities that have been historically excluded. She has served as the chair of Subimos Criando Enlaces Committee, which hosts bi-national library conferences, bringing together library staff from the US and Mexico. Addie is the co-lead of the San Diego Country LGBTQ Latinx Coalition and has been serving in this role since 2018. She also founded and serves on the San Diego Public Library LGBTQIA Library Services Committee. And our next set of speakers will be Desiree and Rick Menjivar. Desiree and Rick are allies who found themselves without a religion, but knew they had to become out loud advocates when faced with parents kicking their children out because they were LGBTQIA+. They are active members of Free Mom Hugs since 2019, an organization devoted to promote effective parent allyship with LGBTQIA+ children. Desiree currently serves as regional lead for the Inland Empire, and we're excited to have you all today.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here, and thank you to the folks that are joining tonight and spending some of your evening with us. As Garsh mentioned, my name is Adi Huertas. I use pronouns she, ella, and my day job, I am a librarian. I've been working in youth services, and I coordinate the youth services programs for our San Diego Public Libraries system-wide. And in my community involvement, I help co-lead the LGBTQ Latinx Coalition, and am involved in the community in that way. But the reason I'm mentioning, actually, one thing I did want to do prior to starting, before I begin, I would like to recognize that we stand on the traditional homelands of the Kumeyaay, Cahuilla, Cupeño, and Luiseño indigenous peoples, and thank and acknowledge them as the past, present, and future stewards of the land. We recognize that colonialism is a current ongoing process, and we need to build mindfulness of our present participation. May this acknowledgement inspire a commitment to working to dismantle the inequities and legacies of oppression and recognize the contributions of our indigenous communities. I always like to begin our meetings and programs recognizing our indigenous communities. I think it's really important to not only give that recognition, but to be active in dismantling those inequities that also affect our indigenous communities. And and I apologize that I kind of kind of started introducing myself prior to that. So bringing us back, and the reason I was mentioning my involvement with the library and why that's important, I think that that's where my I am a part of the LGBTQ community, but I also felt like that's kind of where allyship and my involvement within the community really truly started. We had youth that were not able to organize GSAs in their local schools. And I felt like the library, as a teen librarian at the time, I felt like the library was the perfect space, open, welcoming, safe space for all youth to be able to organize and connect with their peers and to be able to come together, especially when in their institutions that they should have been supported in that circumstance, that wasn't happening. And they were being, their GSA club was being held to different standards than other clubs and being policed differently, and was just not creating that trust within their educators and folks that, you know, should really be there to support. So that's kind of where a lot of my LGBTQ deeper involvement started. You know, Garish mentioned in the intro that we have a LGBTQIA Library Services Committee. This is a committee that's committed to providing LGBTQ resources and programming year round, that is comprised of staff throughout our library system, and also provide support for our staff that might be navigating things such as like name changes and kind of like bureaucratic things that come up sometimes when folks are trying to really be their authentic full selves. I think my involvement in the community is also in my intersections in terms of being Latinx, being a Latina, and also being LGBTQ. And this is why I chose to get more deeply involved with the coalition, with the San Diego County LGBTQ Latinx Coalition. That is a mouthful, but I feel like it's kind of rolls these days, rolls off my tongue these days. And that started just kind of as a way I wanted to come into community and connect with folks that were like-minded. And that coalition has been established since 2017. And I've been involved in a co-leadership position since 2018. But you know, I haven't been able to leave, and it's great. I'm excited for more folks to kind of come in and step up to lead. But I think that the reason why I'm still deeply involved because of the connections and the networking and that familial thing that happens connecting with like-minded folks, but also the advocacy piece of it and the volunteerism and the getting involved with community that really is important for a lot of the coalition members. Our first and foremost goal is to create that welcoming space where folks can find like-minded folks, but also to advocate for our community, to be the voice and to be that representation within our LGBTQ community. I think that's really important because, you know, we're all there's a bigger community, but also we have sometimes different needs, and the representation is different and the advocacy is a little bit different at different intersections. So our goal is to kind of provide that space, but also to be that voice and bring forth those concerns that are part of community that can then help elevate and meet those needs. And last but not least, I do want to say one of the questions that was posed is, what does it mean to be an ally? To me, I think what it means to be an ally is to have a genuine concern for the well-being and in this circumstance of our LGBTQ community, and to support someone that supports and accepts our community, but also somebody that is willing to confront those challenges with the community and kind of speak up. And I think just basic ways to be an ally is to be informed, to speak up, to be honest, to support equity and equality. So it's someone that can also align with that and to come out and be open as an ally, to speak up and saying, you know, I am an ally for this community and this is why, and let other folks know about how you're being an ally, because perhaps that will inspire others to do so and kind of join us. You know, it's to kind of put your privilege aside and really align with what those what some of those needs might be for those marginalized communities that don't have that equity or equality. So thank you all for being here, and I'll pass it on. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to pass it on to the next speaker or back to Jessica.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate you speaking about what allyship means to you and about your organization. I am going to pass it to Desiree and Rick, and then after they speak, we will open it up to questions.
Hi, everyone. We're Desiree and Rick Menjivar. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and
mine are he, él. I was just inspired by Addie to change it a little bit.
We are part of the organization Free Mom Hugs, and specifically our group in Southern California. We have been allies for a long, long time, just out of circumstance, because we grew up in Long Beach, both Rick and I. And so growing up in a community that is very LGBTQ plus friendly, we were afforded the opportunity to learn and participate in the community kind of all throughout our lives. Anything you want to add about that?
Yeah, I grew up with, we grew up with friends and family that are in the community. Some are still in the closet, but as growing up, two of my best friends' parents were in the community, and one was a father that treated me like a son, and one was a mother that treated me like a son as well. And they were beautiful, wonderful, still are wonderful, amazing people. So when we went through this journey, we just always remember that they're people as well, right? And they're full of love, and what they give us is what we need to give back to them as well.
Our journey into Free Mom Hugs SoCal started in 2019. Actually, let me take a step back. We left a large organized religion between 2009 and 2010. So fast forward that to 2019, my oldest daughter's best friend was coming out of the closet and also belonged to this large organized religion. And so there's fear when you're coming out of the closet and dealing with religious parents. And so it was simply stated, we are your backup. If you get tossed from your home, you need a place to stay, anything along those lines, we are it. Pack your stuff, come here. We love you. There's no questions. Welcome to the family, even though you've always been a part of it. And so that started my research on what can we do to help him with this transition. And I bumped into Free Mom Hugs, and that started our journey. What a simple idea and project, and just a simple way to show people that they are loved and affirmed, because Free Mom Hugs, the whole motto around that is empowering the world to celebrate the LGBTQIA plus, or alphabet mafia, as TikTok calls everyone now, community through visibility, education, conversation, and yes, we give hugs. So there is nothing more affirming to someone that can come out to any Pride event or any other activity to show their Pride 365, and maybe they have parents that are not affirming. And so our group and organization is there, because you would not believe, well, yes, you would believe how many people don't have parents that affirm them and how hard and difficult that is. And so honestly, simply just being able to be there and hug them and love them and tell them they are amazing and we love them and they're beautiful, and all of that is one of the most amazing things that we can do. Our chapter goes all throughout Southern California. We're a large chapter. California is a big state, so we have more than one chapter, and we're fortunate to belong to the Southern California group. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think that this has been a great journey for us, not only for us together to learn about ourselves and grow, because as you're involved in these communities, you grow as well. And I'll just share a quick story with you. My first hug at Pride in Orange County was to a Latina young woman that we were walking down the street, and I had my shirt on, this free dad hugs. And she said, "Can I have a free dad hug?" I'm like, "Oh, my first hug." And so she got up, I got, walked towards her, and we embraced. And that embrace lasted for about 60 seconds. 30, about, I don't know, 10 seconds into it, she started crying, telling me how her parents didn't accept her. Coming from a Latino family, both of us, I understood that. And we just sat there and hugged. And to me, I needed that, right? She needed it. And it changed my life. It really did. And so that was the beginning of our journey of giving hugs. And they are very powerful, as you know. And so something that simple can go a long way.
We've gathered, I use the term loosely, children along the way, because they're of all ages, and they're parts of our family now. We have people that come out to events and look for the organization because they know that they are going to get the affirmation that they deserve and need. So we are so proud to be part of the organization. And I think that allyship to us that we've come to learn in the last 2 years is really just love, and to try and teach other parents that are scared about their kids that are coming out that you have permission to give up the dream or the life that you thought you were going to have, because it's about your child at that point, and you need to support your child and love your child. And if you do that, then everything else will fall into place.
It's interesting how we've evolved. So at work, work's become a really safe place. It started real simple, just the pronouns and the signature, right? People asking, "What is that? What's that all about?" That small education. People coming out of the woodwork saying, "My kid is part of the community," or "My sister's part of the community," and they can talk about that, and they can feel free to feel safe. But more importantly is educating those people. Think about this for a second. We see the people at work a lot more than we see our people, our family at home, right? And so to be able to show them and educate them and be examples to them is a big thing. And so to us at work, that diversity and the acceptance and the loving has grown. I work for a financial institution that's faith-based. I didn't know how that was going to roll. And it was a huge blessing to know that they were very supportive, not only the organization, but the religion is very progressive as well. And so that was very affirming to me. And we've just been lucky and blessed to be part of that.
In my professional life, I'm an HR generalist. And so people come and talk to you. And as long as you show that you are an ally, you're going to get a lot more than you normally would have gotten, just because they're going to come and share their lives with you. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, Desiree. Thank you, Rick, for sharing what allyship means to you and about your organization and about your journey in getting there. And thank you, Addie, again as well. I will open it up to questions. Feel free to either raise your hand or just unmute yourself and ask a question. We are also monitoring the chat, so if you prefer to put it in there, we can do that too.
Hi, I'm Kathy. Can I just make a comment, actually? Is that all right? Based on what Desiree and Rick were just talking about, can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, okay. I just finished the book Out Love, if anybody's familiar with that. And it was a really, my husband just brought it in for me. This was such, because they were talking about the church, and my daughter came out as gay when she was a sophomore in high school. And I found myself, and we've been going to church kind of casually, but I've always had a very strong faith. And I stopped going because I kind of knew how that particular church preached on the topic, because I think the youth leader had put something in a blog once, and I was like, now that I never missed a beat on anything with my daughter, but I didn't know where to go with my faith. So and it was many years ago. She's 24 now. This book was so helpful to me with that. It's a woman's, Julie Rogers, and it's her memoir going through a, oh, I can't think of the word, you know, where I'll have to think of what it's called, you know, where they try to turn.
Crisis.
No, going through growing up in the church and then going through where they try to change you from gay. There's terminology. Conversion. Thank you. Conversion therapy. So, and she became actually an advocate for conversion therapy. But you watch, you listen to her journey all the way through and how she changes throughout and to the end. But it is really, really a good book, and it's helping me a lot because I told my daughter, I said, you know, we didn't really know anyone who was, you know, anybody close to us. Of course, we, you know, knew people in our community, but we just didn't have anybody close. I said, we're going to mess this up and we're going to say all the wrong things, but we love you so much. And so, you know, we're all in it together. So that book helped me a lot, I think. Anyway, just my 2 cents.
I think another book I would recommend is How We Sleep at Night. That's written by our founder, Sarah Cunningham, the founder of Free Mom Hugs. And that is another book about her son came out and her faith crisis. How does that reconcile? And it's a good book, and it tells you how Free Mom Hugs started, and basically it's her story and how she dealt with that. So another recommendation.
And, you know, I think a very important part of this process is, you know, as a young student, you know, often most of the literature we read is very, you know, biased from one perspective. So we don't get exposure to even, you know, LGBTQI voices, plus voices. We rarely get, you know, authors who are from that community. So I think a big part of this is really, as maybe Addie can speak to this, is like really when we're trying to select books to read for the youth, it's important that we expose them to diverse authors because that allows them to see many perspectives, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you all started sharing books as resources. That makes my librarian heart so happy. But for, you know, we're talking about having conversations with youth. I highly recommend you can follow them on the socials or look them up online. We Need Diverse Books. They're a group of folks that curate books, you know, that, you know, touch not just on LGBTQ, but you know, a lot of on equity, diversity, multiculturalism, all the things. And I was thinking of a book when I was coming into this discussion about allyship, because I always start with the youth, and this is my new favorite group to talk about social justice with my little nieces and nephews, and it's called Intersection Allies, because I'm always dragging them to protest marches and like demonstration, and they've been to like almost every single pride and marched. And Intersection Allies, that's a youth book. It came out in 2019, I believe. The authors, Chelsea Johnson and Latoya Council, I believe, are the authors. But that talks about just being an ally at your intersections and how we all can support one another. So it just really kind of breaks it down for youth of what that means, and having those discussions about social justice and supporting community and coming together in community, particularly how there are various needs, but how we all kind of intersect in that that goal towards equity and equality. But We Need Diverse Books. If you're looking for any youth books and teen books, I highly recommend them. And of course, reach out. We have San Diego Public Library has tons of curated book lists and resources that we have on our website as well. And particularly, we have a page for LGBTQ, our LGBTQIA library services that we're constantly refreshing those book lists there as well. Oh, we have a library assistant, Kat. Yay, libraries.
Okay, I'm also going to claim Kat. She's a free mom hugger. So.
Oh, that's amazing. I have to say, Rick, thank you for sharing that story and that moment about that embrace that you had. I got a little emotional, and I have like a weird question. First of all, that was really powerful, and I really appreciate you sharing that. And I think that, like, you know, coming out of COVID, I miss that embracing so much. And I'm much more than I needed hugs much more than I thought I needed hugs. And I wonder how you all kind of navigated during that time, if anything shifted, how you connected with folks.
Oh boy, COVID was so fun, wasn't it? Didn't we all love that? Really, we had to shift as an organization, especially in Southern California. I mean, you know that Pride can go from February to November. And so it's not just a month in Southern California. We shifted toward, at first, we were like, how can we get out there and show love? And so we were picking major city Pride events and basically just doing a caravan, decorating our cars, honking, blowing kisses, screaming, yelling, loud music, everything that we could do to just get out in the community and show love. I want to say we did over 20 caravans last year. But not only that, we shifted to do food drives, and we shifted to offer services or resources or have people in Zoom sessions just so we could break up monotony of days. We were also fortunate to adopt a family that was affected by the pandemic. They were part of the transgender community and had, I want to say, 3 or 4 kids, and we were able to fulfill all their wants and needs off their wish lists. I mean, we did anything that we could do to get out and serve the community because hugging was not available. To speak to your librarian heart, we had a few teachers contact us. Hey, we need book lists and those types of things. And so we were able to have a book drive for one specific teacher that asked for help and kind of blew her away because she was surprised by how many books she ended up getting, and all different, not only LGBTQ plus, but just social books in general that she could share with her 1st and 2nd graders. So, I mean, we really pivoted any way that we possibly could.
Yeah, I think that the name Mom, right, has a whole bunch of things behind it. The women in this organization are extremely creative. And so all these ideas came out from all these different individuals across the country, but especially our group. And one of the things that really came out was the mental health issue during COVID, right? We did a lot of that too, calling people, texting people, emailing people, sending notes to people. Hey, how are you? What do you need? Dropping off things, doing anything that we could, not only for them, but for us too, because we were going stir crazy as well. And so I'll never forget that, you know, once a lot of us were vaccinated and we started getting together as groups again to continue to do those drives, to give hugs to people like Chris and Valencia and Rodney and people who we love and have gotten really close to. That was amazing. Kind of like what you said, Addie. I didn't realize how much I missed a hug. Yeah. You know, I can hug my wife and my kids, but the other people that we hug with, it is a very powerful, simple tool. And so someone came up with, you know, Pride 365. And what was the other thing that we were talking about? Going beyond the hug.
Right.
And so that was a lot of it too. It's just being creative and all these creative minds getting together to just make things happen. It was very cool.
Thank you. It seems we have a question in the chat from Kathy, and any of our panelists can answer, or really anybody here, about what are some first steps to take in order to become a good ally in my community, and what about also, you know, outside the community on social media and etc.
I think a really easy thing to do in social media is start putting your pronouns and everything, because that leads to discussions, and that leads to people who have no idea of them asking questions, and it usually leads to a healthy discussion. That's so simple. Small things like, you know, Pride wristbands, Pride on your Apple Watch, or any other thing that you have. We have a joke at my work. My nickname is Rainbow Bright because I try and incorporate a rainbow on me daily. And it's a game of where's the rainbow today? And from that, just that little piece, I had 2 co-workers come to me and say, I have questions. I need help. what do I do? But one of the most powerful ones is a coworker from my previous job. His nephew came out as transgender, and this big burly guy came to me and said, what do I do? You are the only person that I know that I can ask any sort of question to. And it led to a very healthy discussion. And even now, since I've moved on from that position, I will still get questions from him because he's like, what do I do now? So just putting yourself out there, it's really, really a powerful thing.
Yeah, I think, you know, to the social media piece, we connected with a lot of folks through social media for the San Diego County LGBTQ Latinx Coalition, a lot more than we were connecting prior to the pandemic. And, you know, we had folks just kind of reaching out to us. I mean, folks recognized us as a place where they could go to be informed or to ask questions, to ask for help. One of the things that we, you know, just by having that presence and by constantly kind of hosting, you know, virtual programs and keeping folks updated on what we're doing and sharing what other folks in the community are doing. But we had a couple of folks in the community, and I forgot to mention that we're also, a lot of our programming is bilingual, and we, you know, we'll connect in English and in Espanol. But we had some folks that were scared during COVID to even go and get help at the hospital, that from our Latinx communities, because they were undocumented. And they were like, if I go, I'm really, really sick. I need to get somewhere. What are the resources? Am I going to get charged? Is my status going to be revealed? Will I, you know, I mean, there was like just like some serious, genuine concern from from our community members that were almost dying in a sense because of their not knowing. But to us, like we received a couple of messages that way, and we connected them to resources right away. We explained, you know, what folks can ask you and what they can't ask you. But I think just being that space that folks knew, okay, well, I'll just reach out to the coalition and send a message. Has really, I mean, I think just having that presence and just being that kind of network really helped our community in some of those instances that really those folks, I mean, we had to kind of talk folks, a couple of people kind of talk them through to be able to go get the help that they needed, the help, you know, like just, I mean, just to get themselves to the hospital. And it was just, and then we stayed connected and we followed up. And we continue to check in on folks, right? And one of one of the community members that was really sick, she reached back to us later and wanted to deliver, like her goal was to be a chef, and she's a great cook and wanted to make us a meal. So actually made us a meal for the coalition members to enjoy, thanking us because she was too scared to go to the hospital, and did that after we kind of talked through. So just being a presence and being there. But one thing that I do want to say is that, you know, as an ally, like, speak up. If you hear something, if you see something, I think that's really important. A lot of times folks just stay quiet and don't, like, you know, don't call things out when they really should, or, you know, kind of, you know, provide that. I mean, just by speaking up, you are saying so much. But also, if you're not sure, if you think you're going to say the wrong thing, ask questions and stay informed and be honest and be open to those conversations. I think that's just really important, because folks want to be able to connect, and I appreciate that folks are coming into community, but also understand that people might not feel comfortable, and we want to be able to have those open, you know, and honest conversations. So, but a lot of times with social media more recently, it's just having that presence and continue. And I really like what Desiree said about like, even just little simple things like your pronouns. In my email signature, I have my pronouns, and then I have a little link to what does this mean, and then I have another land acknowledgement that's part of my signature. So like those simple visual cues also, like, I think go a long way, because folks kind of feel like there's a welcoming person there, you know, there's somebody that's open and that is bringing visibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's really important, and I don't take this lightly. I'm an executive for a financial institution, and I don't share that very often because I just don't. But what I'm trying to say here is I have a voice at work, right? If you have a voice at work, use it. If you're in a leadership role, use it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to say, hey, Rainbow Bright, right? But to say, this is a safe place. Talk
Right.
about love, talk about equality for all. Not only, one of the big things that I talk about is we have a lot of females in my institution, and we talk about making sure that the women are paid just as much as the men, that they are equal, that we're all equal. It doesn't matter what race, religion, gender you are. So if you keep it, that's a really good thing. If you keep it just generic, it's a really good place to start, because a lot of people who want to be argumentative, they can't argue against being equal for all, right?
Absolutely.
Hey,
So-
Bettina, I'm seeing your comment in here. I'm the HR person. I think Addie is the librarian, but hey, I'll switch roles with you any day just to get a feel of what it feels like to be a librarian. Do I see the industry changing to a truly inclusive practices on health? I think we're lucky that here in Southern California, yes, we have more resources than other states. I think that there's, especially here in Southern California, there's different types of centers. Like we deal with the Transgender Health and Wellness Center that has an office in Palm Springs, Riverside, and they are getting ready to open one in San Diego. That's a great resource because I think that's one that's a minority in the community and probably gets talked about the least. And so getting out there and getting those resources to people. Funny, I'm renewing our benefits for our group, and I've asked a lot of questions about our insurers, like what are they doing for these types of things, especially transgender, mental health, and those types of things. It was nice to hear my broker today actually have some answers to those questions, and that's a whole lot better than it was even 2 years ago. So yes, I think it's getting better. I think there's still a lot of room for improvement.
Can I speak? Hi, everyone. I'm Valencia Foster. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the state chapter lead for Southern California for Free Mom Hugs. And wonderful to see our wonderful leaders here on the line today. And just echo everything that Desiree and Rick are saying about this experience with Free Mom Hugs. But back to the question about allyship, I think what's really important, which is some of what we're doing here, is sharing your story and finding a connection with other people based on your story. And I've seen a lot of folks reach out to me after telling my story about my family and my son who came out bi, then gay, then bi again. And I'm sitting in front of my company logo because like Rick, I have gotten active in a group that supports the LGBTQ community at work. And I think when you are visible at work and you have a coalition of people who care, I've had so many people reach out to me to ask me about, allyship, about, to share what their experience has been, whether it's been positive or negative. And because of that, and I'm seeing that there are changes being made where we were able to advocate for insurance, whether it be hormone therapy or whether it's, reproductive health, reproductive procedures and things like that. So I'm a big proponent of sharing your story. And I think if you have that opportunity, you can reach a lot of people. And I think that's the beginning of allyship, just to show your support. And also, someone was saying something about, just being that whole element of intersectionality. I think over the last year or so, we're all learning about each other as far as like what allyship means to all of us. And I think that Addie was talking about, being the person in the room who doesn't let a comment just fly and not say anything, but standing up for people when they're not present. You know, if you hear a joke or a comment, I think it's so important to just embolden yourself. It's not always easy, but I think the reward afterwards, the opportunity to educate someone is great. And I think with Free Mom Hugs, we've tried to do whatever we could do to educate folks, either by having Zoom calls when we were able to have live education. I think that's important too, because things are evolving every day, and we just want to stay on the forefront for this community.
Thank you so much. That's a great
Yeah.
point about, being, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, that was awesome, Valencia. Thank you. Going back to social media, I know a lot of us are on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, but there's one that's been there for a lot longer, and that's LinkedIn. And so a lot of you probably are part of LinkedIn. There's some great groups out there for diversity and acceptance. Search them out. They were one of the first social media platforms that allowed you to put in your pronouns. And so I've been connecting with tons and tons of people on there. And so it's just another platform for that. And a lot of them are in leadership positions. And to me, it's great because if you start teaching from the top, then the rest get involved as well. They're not as fearful. So it's a great platform to use.
Yeah.
It's a great point. It's all about being an up standard instead of a bystander. Yeah, before we come to a close here, I'd just like to remind everybody one more time that this is being recorded. So we will upload this on YouTube. So if you ever want it for future reference or to share with friends or family, please refer to there. Maybe we can send out the link too. But if we have any closing remarks, Jessica.
Yes, I just wanted to thank the group one last time. Thank you, Desiree. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Addie, for being here and giving us some really great tips on how to be an ally and resources that you've shared. And I just wanted to open the floor up one last time if there were any last words, any great resources to share with the three of you, any closing statements that any of you would like to share.
We're always recruiting the Free Mom Hugs, so check us out on Facebook and search Free Mom Hugs SoCal and Free Mom Hugs SoCal on Instagram.
Yeah, I was trying to type in, I probably misspelled it, but same thing. You can connect with us on Facebook. We're like that long name, San Diego County LGBTQ Latinx Coalition, or on IG, which is where we're more active on Instagram, SD Latinx Coalition. I want to wish everybody a happy Pride. We're still here in Pride season. And if you're local here in San Diego, we are hosting a Latinx Pride event this Saturday at Mujeres Brew House, which is all ages, by the way. So although it's at a brewery, it's all ages, and we're just super excited because we had such the RSVPs are out of control, and a lot of folks just wanting to connect and come back into community. And so if anybody's interested locally in supporting and connecting with other like-minded folks, Latinx Pride is happening here in Barrio Logan in San Diego at Mujeres Brew House at 3 p.m. on Saturday. Because we're also just proud and celebrating and excited to come out of COVID and just really connecting to folks. But we do have monthly meetings, and we do also do a lot of business. We're working on a scholarship for LGBTQ youth, and we're kind of getting that off the ground. So do stay connected with us and informed on other things that are coming down the line with the coalition.
Keep a lookout for the line of bubbles on Saturday, because Free Mom Hugs will be out caravanning. So if it's loud, honking, music, and bubbles, that's us. Give us a wave.
All right. Thank you again. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this Thursday evening. And we wish you all a really great night. And thank you for being a part of our presentation today.